So, I think we all know this feeling. It's this deep, almost gnawing restlessness that just seems to be part of modern life. We're constantly walking, you know, constantly striving. Maybe for you, it's the next promotion or that magic number for financial freedom, or just like that feeling of finally being enough. We've been programmed to believe that true peace, that feeling of, arrival, is just over the next hill. It's like that classic image of a traveler in an endless desert walking toward a mirage.
The oasis of success.
Exactly, the oasis of success and wholeness. But with every single step, the horizon just recedes. And our minds get haunted by that one question: when will I get there? Okay, let's really get into this, because this feels like the dilemma of our time.
It absolutely is. It's the modern condition, really. We're all caught in this chase, completely convinced that some future achievement will finally give us permission to rest.
Right.
But what's so radical about the wisdom we're looking at today, especially from, early mindfulness traditions, is the alternative they propose.
Which is?
What if that oasis was never meant to be reached? What if the real destination, that sense of peace, isn't ahead of you at all, but right here, inside the very act of walking?
Okay.
So our mission for this deep dive is to see if we can reconcile that intense modern ambition with a kind of deep, immediate presence, to basically reorient our whole relationship with time and effort and desire.
All right, let's jump right in then, because that sounds like a massive challenge to how most of us operate. You're suggesting that liberation, that, feeling free and complete, isn't some prize we win later, but something we can actually taste today.
That's it, exactly.
Even while we're hustling.
Yeah.
While we're meeting deadlines and building our careers.
Yes. The core teachings often use this really powerful analogy. They say, just as the ocean has a single taste, the taste of salt, so too the Dharma has a single taste, the taste of liberation. Liberation isn't a future reward that depends on your external metrics. It is a quality of presence. Something you can taste now, even when you're striving, even when you're uncertain.
But here's the pushback, and I know our listeners who are, high achievers are thinking this. Doesn't this focus on presence just sound a bit like, well, spiritual procrastination?
I understand that resistance.
I mean, we live in a hustle culture. We push ourselves relentlessly because we believe the outcome, the successful launch, the promotion, will finally let us rest and feel worthy. The goal has to be the answer. Otherwise, what's all this hard work for?
Well, that belief system, that success equals worthiness, is precisely what's masking the anxiety underneath. And that's why the original purpose of mindfulness, or sati, is so revolutionary.
Okay.
It's not just a 10-minute break to reset. Its real purpose is to completely reorient your consciousness.
How so?
When you are truly present, really inhabiting the sensory moment, feeling your breath, the texture of the chair, the sounds around you, you step out of what we could call the tyranny of the not yet.
The tyranny of the not yet. I like that.
You stop living in the shadow of an imagined future and start living in the only reality that ever exists, which is right now. It's freedom at the level of your being.
It's still a little hard for me to picture how that actually translates to my Monday morning, though. I'm still sending emails. I'm still stressed about key 3 projections. Can you give me a really tangible example of how this shift in awareness changes the action?
Of course. There's a wonderful Zen story that illustrates this perfectly. A monk was asked what he did after he achieved enlightenment.
Yeah.
He replied very simply, I chopped wood, I carried water. And then the person, confused, asked what he did before enlightenment. The monk smiled and said, I chopped wood, I carried water.
So the action was the same.
The physical action was identical, but the inner relationship to it had completely transformed. Before, he was chopping wood conditionally. He was using the task as a means to a future end.
Chopping wood to get fire.
Exactly, to get fire, to get a drink. His whole attention was on that deferred goal.
And after enlightenment?
After, the difference was the awareness. Chopping wood became an expression of awakened presence. It was unconditional. He was fully there with the sound of the axe, the ache in his shoulders, the smell of the wood. The goal didn't disappear. He still needed fire. But the meaning of the action shifted from a transaction to an expression. Wow. That change in the inner landscape is everything. And it leads us right into why we chase and how that chasing creates all this friction.
And we feel that friction so acutely in the modern workplace, don't we? We're measured, we're reviewed, our worth is quantified. You hit a huge milestone, you land the client, get the bonus, and for maybe an hour, you feel that rush.
Maybe an hour.
And then almost instantly, the mind just recalibrates.
Oh, you mean that feeling when you close the Series A funding round and literally 20 minutes later you're already stressed about the Series B? I thought that was just me.
No, that's the cycle.
It's this relentless craving and dissatisfaction where the peace just evaporates the second the goal is hit. That endless, restless cycle is what the tradition calls saisara. And the feeling it produces, that deep dissatisfaction, is called dukkha.
Dukkha.
We often translate it as suffering, but that's too dramatic for most of our daily lives. A much better word is unsatisfactoriness, or even just friction. It's that constant low-grade ache of misalignment between how things are and how we insist they should be.
Right.
And here's the truly revolutionary part. This friction isn't caused by your external circumstances. It's not the traffic or the difficult boss. It's caused by your relationship to them.
So it's my reaction, not the thing itself.
It's the insistence that reality should be different. If you can accept the difficulty while still acting fully, the friction just dissolves.
Okay, so I'm sitting at my desk, I'm frustrated about a deadline, maybe a team member dropped the ball. How do I practically apply this moment to moment?
This is where we have to look at the concept of karma, which is so misunderstood in the West.
Right, it's not fate.
No, it's not fate, like, oh, I guess this bad thing was my karma. It literally just means action. But action isn't just what you do. It includes three things: your intention, your attention, and the emotional tone behind it.
So how I do it matters as much as what I do.
Exactly. Think about a difficult email. You can respond instantly with reactivity, with anger. That plants a seed of agitation in your own system. That's karma that generates friction.
So the action isn't the problem, the energy behind it is.
Precisely. Now imagine you pause. You choose to respond with patience, with clarity, even though you feel frustrated. Every single time you choose presence over rumination, you are deliberately rewiring your nervous system to prefer calm over chaos. Success, in this light, isn't just a valuation or a promotion. It becomes the cumulative result of thousands of tiny inner choices you make every day. You're literally building success from the inside out.
I love that image of the modern entrepreneur who gets this. She still wakes up at 5 a.m. She still works incredibly hard, but she's not just chasing a valuation to prove something.
No.
She's building meaning.
Exactly. The goal hasn't changed. She wants to succeed. But her relationship to the outcome has transformed. When doubt arises, she doesn't try to suppress it, she just observes it, names it, and lets it pass like a cloud. That tiny gap between the stimulus and her reaction, that's her quiet center.
And the paradox is that because she isn't forcing it, because her sense of self isn't on the line, her decisions are probably clearer.
Much clearer. Her creativity deepens, her resilience skyrockets. She's not fighting reality anymore, she's moving with it.
Which brings us to a really crucial point, this idea of non-attachment and whether it makes you complacent. Okay, this is the big sticking point for ambitious people. It's a fair question. If I let go of that desperate need for an outcome, if I hold my ambition lightly, don't I just become complacent? Doesn't that aggressive desire sometimes fuel the breakthrough?
That fear comes from a misunderstanding of what letting go really means. The instruction isn't to abandon your ambitions, it's to hold them lightly, free from clinging. Clinging is that desperation that tells you, if this doesn't work out, I am worthless. That's what burns you out, not the ambition itself.
Can you give me an analogy?
Think of a bird in flight. Its wings have to beat with vigor, with full intensity. That's your ambition. But its body has to stay relaxed, attuned to the air currents. If the bird's muscles were tensed up all the time, it would just fall out of the sky.
The vigor requires the relaxation.
The sustained vigor requires the underlying relaxation. Clinging is the tension. The act of aiming is the flight.
So it's not indifference. It's strategic engagement, but without your ego being tied to the result.
Absolutely. This is the principle of upekkha, or equanimity, a balanced mind that engages fully, even fiercely, but isn't shattered by the ups and downs. And this isn't just philosophical, it's high-level strategic wisdom. We see this in the Bhagavad Gita. You have a right to your actions, but never to the fruits of your actions. When you really internalize that, you free up so much energy. You can pivot faster, take smarter risks, because your sense of self isn't on the line every single time.
I think the lute metaphor is perfect for this. You have to tune the strings just right.
Yes.
Too tight, they snap. That's the burnout we see everywhere. Too loose, no music. That's the complacency people fear. The path is that middle way engaged, but not strained.
And that middle path is where the real power is. The most powerful action, the most innovative thinking, it flows from stillness, not from frenzy. A frantic mind can't build anything that lasts.
Let's make this even more tangible. How does this apply to something like our relationships, which are often the most demanding things we build?
Great example. Take a parent who desperately wants their child to succeed, to get into a certain school, a specific career.
Sure.
They invest so much effort. But if their own internal peace depends on the child hitting those benchmarks, they are unintentionally transmitting this subtle conditional pressure. The child feels it. They feel that the approval is conditional on their achievement.
And that pressure can be so damaging. It can actually make the parent's desired outcome less likely in the long run.
Precisely. Now, contrast that with the parent who practices mudita, or sympathetic joy. The ambition for the child's flourishing is still there, but the parent celebrates the child's own unique path, unconditionally.
The relationship deepens.
It deepens because the love isn't burdened by performance metrics. The goal is the same, but the how changes everything.
And financially, it's the exact same dynamic, isn't it? We chase a net worth, not just for security, but to silence that little voice that's always whispering, "You're not enough."
It is the exact same engine. And here's the key insight. Mindfulness reveals that voice is just a conditioned pattern. It's not a fact. When you can sit with that feeling of lack instead of running from it or trying to fill it with overwork, it starts to dissolve on its own. You realize it's just a vibration. And when you operate from that stability, your financial decisions become based on vision, not on fear. And that changes your whole strategy.
So what does this all mean for our traveler in the desert? We've explored this false dichotomy between building a career and cultivating inner silence. It's not an either or.
No, it's a necessary integration. Think of a massive river. It flows with this incredible, undeniable force. That's your ambition or drive.
Right.
Yet at the very center of that flow, there is a profound stillness and awareness. The river is never frantic, it just moves. And that's the model for strategic success. Act with full intensity, but remain centered in awareness. Lead not from a place of lack, but from a quiet fullness.
And here's the paradox that came up again and again. The more you release that desperate need for the goal to define you, the more likely it is to manifest. The world responds to coherence, not to desperation.
That coherence is your competitive advantage. But maybe the deepest lesson we uncovered is this. The unachieved goal may be your greatest teacher.
Say more about that.
Well, think of the scientist whose theory was wrong, but it paved the way for the next discovery, or the founder whose first 4 businesses failed, teaching them exactly what they needed for the 5th one.
Their failures weren't failures at all.
Exactly. They deepened their impact. Because what they offered the world wasn't a trophy, it was a quality of engagement. True success is something you embody. It's showing up fully, building with integrity, loving without guarantees.
So instead of reaching for another strategy, another hack, another promise of future relief, we just pause. We meet this moment.
Exactly. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a couple of questions to just mull over.
Please.
What if the stillness you're seeking isn't beyond the storm, but is actually available right in the eye of it? And what would it mean to build a life that honors both the material things you desire and the mysterious, non-linear process of the heart?
That feels like the perfect place to pause our deep dive for today. You are not behind. You're not waiting to become worthy.
You are already standing in the only moment that matters. And within it, everything you need is already here.